Okay, Prakash Jha's Pareeksha is up for release, and I'm very pleased uh, to see my old friend Adil Hussain Saab. Wonderful to see you. I hope your family is healthy and safe.
By God's grace, yes, they're safe and healthy, and also have become better cooks and bakers and gardeners.
The lovely Priyanka Bose. Wonderful to see you. How are you, Priyanka?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm really grateful to be home, actually, and I'm really happy that I'm grateful that I have more than a home for me and my family. To be very honest, at this point, there's so much to be grateful for. Really.
And young Shubham on the show for the very first time, and definitely
Yeah,
not the last time. I want to see more and more of you in the movies. And he
I
joined
hope so too.
near Darbhanga in Bihar. Yeah, great. So
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago, Adil Bhai and Priyanka, there was this wonderful film. I think it was Gangor that people were talking a lot about. It had an Italian director. It did the festival circuit. I'm guilty of not having seen that film. And this is not the first time that you guys are working together. So talk about the comfort level, Adil, with Priyanka.
Hi, Priyanka. Why doesn't she start? Then I will join
No, no.
in.
Why don't you start? I always talk about you. That journalists always ask me, "What did you learn from Adil Hussain?"
Oh God,
And
just
I'm
because
just
I've
like,
got some gray beard, yeah, that's
No,
it.
because you're a mentor and teacher to so many, to so many.
he
So,
has been a teacher, but also, Adil knows me. I'm the quintessential backbencher. Like, I
Totally.
I'm a like he I'm truly a badly behaved, but in the truest way. I mean, it's just my heart is really pure. So so that's about it. And I'm like, I can do no harm. So then I may as well bring in my personality. You've got to work with this. So and the thing is, Adil and I get along really well. I love him very dearly. He knows that. We don't meet so much, but there's always like a connection, like always with Adil, which is something we don't have to question. It's almost like it's sensitive, and it's I'm very comfortable with it.
how much has she evolved as an actress since the last time you worked together? That'll be a valid question to ask you.
Oh God, you are
That's a
making me
valid
the
question.
judge. Making me the
No, I
judge
mean, it's
now.
just, the a sense that you get,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
in life's
no.
journeys as
I think
friends.
I think she has become hungrier
Hmm.
in terms of knowing things and also to explore herself. Because acting for her, as I have understood and as we have discussed hundreds of times, I guess, when we worked together in Gangor, and those were the initial days of my adventure or misadventure into films. My first of the films that I did. um, we have discussed so many times that it's so important to find act the truth of what do you really want, what do you really feel. So it is not even what you think you want, but what you actually feel, and to be able to recognize and decipher that feeling, and then behave accordingly in life or in a given
Sure.
space. And Priyanka being extremely vulnerable and open about it, and that's why I see her that she's of course hungrier, but at the same time she is much more contained, and that is a fantastic sign of growth according to my judgment.
Those are wonderful, wonderful words. Priyanka, I always joke with Sanjay Suri. His kids and my kids go to the same school. So I
Okay.
always joke saying that, there are some of us who are left brain thinkers and some of us who are right brain thinkers.
Yes.
A man who is a producer, a man who makes money out of films, plus he's an actor, means that, he's pretty much an all-rounder. When he's not making films, he's acting in them. So, and he's got a very strong part in Pareeksha. So, since Sanjay is not here, let's talk a little bit about him, Priyanka.
Let's bitch
Yeah.
about him.
Yeah, no, Sanjay, he's such a decent guy. He's quite a thorough gentleman. I don't know him at all. I happened to bump into him during Mami. We were sitting next to each other when we realized we're doing Pariksha. So Before that, we hadn't really interacted much, but he's really a decent guy. He's very professional and extremely courteous. And yeah, and he's a producer, so he knows the business really well, and he seems to be a really kind person. So I guess he has everything going for him to be, you know, to be where he is, and so it'll be interesting to get to know him outside of the film as well, because he seems like a really decent dude.
So, Shubham, here are you in this film, and Pratinav, who handles the publicity, gave me a very interesting fact, and he said that your real life is quite similar to what Bulbul goes through in the film, and I, full respect. How wonderful is that? So let's have a bit of a background of yours. What do your esteemed parents do? How did you get to be in this film? Let's have a backstory.
Well, my dad's a diamond polisher. Like when the diamond is like in its first stage, he
That's right.
polishes it to its like shape proper. He gives it a proper shape, and he is like his job is not certain, so he doesn't know like tomorrow will there be his job or not. If he goes for like around 3 to 4 days with a holiday, then just give me 1 minute, okay? Just give me 1 minute.
I think his younger brother is is jumping in. we've all been through childhood like that.
Yeah, no,
Was that
actually,
your
he's
younger
my
brother?
younger brother,
That naughty fellow was
not
trying to jump in.
like
My
cousin younger brother.
condolences. My
Yeah,
my sympathies.
yeah. So
Anyway,
the thing,
continue.
yeah. So the thing is, my dad is a diamond polisher. So if he takes a holiday for 3 or 4 days, then someone else will take his post and his job. So he has to be constantly there. And since January this year, he didn't had much to do in his job. Like in a month, he used to go for 10 days or 5 days. So his job was pretty rough. And from beginning, I'm in international school, like from second standard. So he had to cope up with my acting, then his job, then the tuitions and all. So it was pretty rough from starting.
Hmm. And you yourself, do you go to a private school? Do you go to a public school? You speak so well. So whichever school you're going to, public or private, is doing a great job and all your hard work. So a little bit about what you're doing in terms of studying.
In terms of studying, I go to a private school, and recently I finished my 10th standard. And on August 1, I'm waiting for the government form for my college. And let's see what happens. But yeah, since second standard, I'm in the private school, the same private school.
Lovely. And are you liking it?
Yeah, I love it actually. I have many friends there.
Hmm.
So yeah.
And how did you get cast for this film? Where did Mr. Jha or his casting people find you?
Well, as far as I can remember, it was from Facebook. I got a call from their team. Yeah, I got a call from their team. Like by looks, by visual, like as an appearance, I was good enough or something. And they said like we would like to call you for an audition. So I went there and I gave the audition. And after a few days, I got the call that sir would like to talk to you. And I was like, wow.
So I can almost hear Adil and Priyanka going, damn, I never got cast from Facebook.
Perks of being a new teenager.
So
No, the fact is, I didn't have to audition for Sir is like a big thing, because I was very open to sending, but that never happened with me or Adil. He offered us the film. We're very gracious of him, and for him to really think that we could embody this. I'm very grateful for that opportunity, to be very honest.
And this film, in a lot of ways, is a very important film, Adil, because it talks about the current education system. Often what happens is everybody has a quota, and children come in through that quota system, and there is some kind of segregation that happens culturally or otherwise. So talk to me a little bit about that. Just expand on what I've said. Use that as a starting point.
Well, I had been very vocal about it also with my friends, and most probably quite some time on social media, about when I see, like, for example, there were a few days ago, there was a news that laborer's daughter has gotten IPS, got an fantastic marks she scored in IPS exam. And there's this student of mine at the National School of Drama uh, who from Tamil Nadu, and I generally don't ask like, what does your father do or anything, but I happened to ask her that question. And she said, my mother, she doesn't have a father, I guess. And her mother sells vegetables on the streets of Chennai. And she is studying at the National School of Drama. And she could study at the National School of Drama because it is free. If you get an admission, you get a seat. And she turned out to be one of the best students that I have ever sort of interacted with in my entire career of teaching at the National School of Drama. And there are Janaki, her name is, and they call her Janagi. So there are hundreds and thousands of Janakis and and Adils. I mean, I come from a very, very poor background, and my father could not afford milk to have milk tea when we grew up. Could not afford so many things that I was craving for. So I feel that Indian government or world government, across the globe, especially in Southeast Asia or in Asian countries, that education should be made free for all. It should be an universal right, and it should be mandatory for each government to give international class education from pre-primary to higher education. And we unfortunately take pride of the fact that the Google CEO, who is now in answering questions at the Congress in America, though.
That's right.
But we take pride that he's from India. There are scientists working in NASA from India. I feel, I mean, of course, we should take pride, but at the same time, we should also at the same time feel embarrassed about the fact that they left India because they didn't have adequate playing field for their kind of talent. And quite a lot of them, including our president, Abdul Kalam, he comes from a very poor background, and he stayed here and he made it to the top. And there are so many Abdul Kalam, there's so many Bulbuls, the character that Shubham plays, and he himself is suffering from. So I think we are depriving the nation from this amazing pool of talent that India has. And the future of India is dependent on those young stars who are coming out of and admitting themselves into the pre-primary schools. And I also feel the pre-primary teachers and the primary teachers should be paid the most in the country, more than the President of India.
Wow. Priyanka, I want to come to your character now. I understand that Adil Bhai's character is a rickshaw puller. He's obsessed about his son's education. Is she, as the wife, as supportive, or is she a little more skeptical, a little more cynical? Just the character graph.
I think she, Radhika Rani's character is interesting. It's, it symbolizes a lot of our mothers and, our fathers. I know my father struggled with so much, and before that, his father struggled with so much. My father comes from absolutely nothing. For me to go to a convent education was like a huge thing. So I've seen them struggle, and I've seen my mother be the catalyst, for a lot of the interest that I have today is because of the fact that my mom took me there no matter what, like, that little unique dance class or something like that. So a lot of my drive, of my hunger actually comes from the little hobby classes that my mother encouraged, and even though we couldn't afford it. So, so I feel like our mothers, even though it's not because, the patriarchal system of the structure that we carry forward right now, it's always the man's story and man's struggle, but we do not really understand that the foundation is also two pillars. The foundation of the child's
Always.
upbringing of anything, unless one parent dies, is two pillars. So one is definitely a driving force, or containing that, or harnessing that, kind of ambition, or keeps it together. And even skepticism, I think, is a very, very important thing to have, because otherwise you are not going very deep into asking the question. First of all, you ask the question why, and then you ask why not, and then how can we do it. So from there a lot of things happen, because if she wasn't skeptical, then he wouldn't be as eccentric. And then so it just balances something out in the whole struggle, and the wheel goes forward like that.
Wonderful, very well answered. Shubham, do you face that not just as Bulbul, but as Shubham in the school that you're in? Do you find children from privileged backgrounds have a bit of a chip on their shoulder, or I think things are improving? Let's get the generation next perspective.
I would say that the things are improving, not
Nice.
not everywhere, but you can see the difference. Like if in day-to-day life, you can see the difference that in films there are some people that are portrayed as if, like in older films, if you see in the education films, that there are some characters that are shown as if they are rich, they are so evil kind of towards poor. But if you currently see in my school or any other school, there is no difference at all among the students on the basis of financial economy, or on the basis of caste, on the basis of where they come from. There is no segregation or something.
Okay, that's an interesting point. So at least we can say the future is on its way to be in safe hands. Uh, the thing with directors like Prakash Jha, Adil Bhai, is that because of the gamut of actors they work with. I mean, you work with with an A-list star like an Ajay Devgan, and then you work with a fine character actor like Adil. Uh, would you say that there is a difference in attitude? Some directors don't have that. Some treat all actors with great equanimity. So, your relationship with the director in that aspect.
I think he is very clear about why he does what he does, in terms, including casting actors. He knows that certain films that he's the subject that he chooses, that needs to reach a huge number of people, because it is important, the kind of social structure that we have. Unless you have a big name, people don't go to see, and he also started his career with a very small film,
Correct.
Damul, and
Namal.
an amazingly beautiful film. So for this film, he chose Priyanka, Shubham, and me for a reason, I guess, that he. You have to ask him why he did that. I asked him why he did that. I said, "Why me? You work with all these A-listers, and suddenly some bloody Adil Hussain from Assam, you're choosing me, and Priyanka, Radhika Rani, Priyanka Bose. We are not like crowd pullers, or." But he smiled and he just kept quiet. He said, "I believe in you guys." So that's good enough answer for me. So I would say that he's very clear, and he knows exactly what kind of result that he's looking for in a specific script. And he most probably, and he also understands the craft very well. He knows when the actor is faking it, and he knows when situation, the scene is not working. He would ask us to do it again, but very rarely that happened that he had to do twice or thrice. Even we almost shot in one take.
I
Okay,
think we
almost
nailed
all.
it. Adil, we nailed it.
I
We
I
pretty
don't know
much
about
nailed
that.
it.
I would
I'm sorry.
let that let the audience decide on that. But as soon as the director says, "Okay, I trust him," so I guess he got what he wanted, and yeah, he has got a very very clear idea about what he wants. I don't know whether
Priyanka,
I've answered your question.
Yeah, of course, it did. It did. It really answered my question. Priyanka, if I ask Salman Khan or Akshay Kumar this question, they will turn around and say they're missing the big screen, because those are all single screen stars, bona fide stars. But I did ask Abhishek Bachchan this question, and he said, because he had a release very recently, and he said, as an actor, it's wonderful, but I don't know. I can't answer that question as a producer because I can't put that hat on. My question to you, for somebody like you who's had such a brilliant career with character parts, Adil, for example, you've seen the festival circuit, you've seen all kinds of alternate cinema. It must really warm your heart that you have a release like you do, for example, with Z5 or Z5 Premium, with just a click of a button reaching 190, 200 countries.
Yes.
So these must be very interesting times for you, Priyanka, as an actress, and what you do.
The thing is, with the whole quarantine situation, there was a big slump again. I was really on a roll. We were working, we were talking, discussing. Oh my God, there were so many new things happening because of these new platforms. Because Bollywood is not writing our trajectories. A lot of other films that we are going out there and getting an offers for right now because of the global structure. The map is changing, whether you want to accept it or not. And so, a lot was happening. And then with the quarantine, this little slump I looked at it as a slump because, when you're moving and then you stop and I'm like, why am I forced to to stop? But the thing is that stop was very important as well to actually reflect on the work I did. And because a lot of people were saying, oh my God, you're doing so well. And I'm like, but I don't know, it just seems very random. It seems like I'm doing too many things or it's not going, but I really, truly didn't have perspective about what was working and what was not working in terms of a theater release vis-a-vis these OTT platforms, and what kind of, instinctually, what calls out to me, So this time was very interesting to just step back. And now one of the other, the films that I did for 3 years, or the work that I've done for 3 years, they're coming out, is really cheering me up in that way. So there are these small films with really big ambitions, and especially with Z5 and the platform and the range that they have, 190 countries. It's incredible. A lot of my international friends are really intrigued by the story, and it really warms me that, of course, we don't even we gain billions of people from our country, but we also gain like so much, like an entire worldview of a picture of our cinema, and this cinema, like this industry, has run itself independently from the rest of the world. So our so that entire thing going into another getting more audiences, pulling in more audiences for these small stories, I think it's an incredible time.
Okay, my time is up, so we're going to do a quick last one. A skill you picked up in lockdown, could be anything, any skill.
I bake bread. I bake very
good one.
bread.
Excellent. So is it sweet bread, salty bread, or what kind of bread?
Everything. So I bake
all kinds of bread.
I bake cakes, salty breads, everything.
Well done, Priyanka.
Everything.
Excellent. Yeah. Adil bhai.
I started making croissant. Pen. I can send you photographs.
Maybe someday I'll ask you to bring me some.
Yes. And I have started making good pickles, by the way.
Oh, lovely. Can never get enough of good achars. Wonderful. So, young Shubham, what is it that you picked up in lockdown?
Reading online books, basically.
Good. Super.
Yeah. I
Fiction,
read books
non-fiction?
now. Yeah. Both. I read books like usually hard copies, but now I've started to read online because pandemic and all.
Save the planet. Less trees, less paper. Listen, you guys, thank you. I can't wait to see Pareeksha. And
6th of August.
6th of August. Z5. Wonderful. Z5. Thank you, Adil bhai. Thank you, Priyanka. And thank you, Shubham.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Okay,
see you.
Thank you.